and you even said, okay, by Thursday of this week, you were like, we're going to get, maybe a little bit of snow. This will be followed by sleet. Then we're going to have some freezing rain, right? And even at the beginning of the week, I am going to point this out. And I even thought about this during our newscast. I'm like, he's not giving us a snow total. So there's something here, that I know you were still watching and waiting to kind of narrow it down. So for everybody out there watching, and and we've talked about this, where we're located, you got the plateau, you got the mountains. And again, I'm not making excuses, but it is an interesting place to try to forecast. That is for sure. A lot of different elements to think about, and whether it comes up I-75 or comes across the plateau or circles back around and comes down the mountainside. Walk us through how we got from, the talk of, we may be getting quite a bit of snow to where we are today, where some areas are going to see that freezing rain. We've seen the sleet. Some areas maybe got a little bit more snow than others.
Well, it all starts. Is my mic on? I can't hear myself.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, you sound great.
Thanks.
Sure.
It all starts because we all have access to the same data.
Sure.
Anybody.
Right.
You can subscribe to be able to get the data. The thing that's interesting is, in social media days, a lot of the people, what you do it for, the clicks, the likes.
Okay, yeah.
So the more outrageous the stuff you put out there, the more it's going to get clicks, likes, shares, right?
Right.
So a week and a half ago or whenever, when one forecast model run, 380 hours out, shows 18 to 24 inches of snow across much of the deep south,
right?
It gets shared.
Right.
It gets liked. And some people think that's gospel. And
what do you call it? Wish casting sometimes too, right?
Wish casting. And I always say, hashtag trust your sources. Know where that came from. It's like any news story you may see. Where did that actually come from? Right? Like,
got to check your sources.
Check your sources and where it came from. So this system hadn't even developed last week and a half ago when these models started showing up on social media.
It blew me away when we started doing our 30-minute chat here about what's coming, and you were like, and this was Wednesday or Thursday? Wednesday, the first time we do it.
Wednesday.
And you're like, Bo, this thing's still out in the Pacific Ocean. It hadn't even made mainland West Coast yet.
Yeah. And let me describe that. Again, how forecast model data works, right? You get data ingested into it, and each forecast model takes the information, runs it a different way, and gives an output.
Right.
Well, the storm, while it's out over the Pacific Ocean, unless there's a buoy nearby or satellite data, that's the only way you're sampling that storm.
Okay.
When it's over land, we're sending up balloons twice a day in many locations to gather that data. Airplanes that are crisscrossing the U.S. are collecting data, sending it down. So really, that was not going to be very accurate.
Right.
That's why I was very hesitant to even mention the snow chances across the area, because I wasn't convinced. A hurricane hunter flew into it.
Right, I remember that.
A hurricane hunter, right?
Right, sure.
They still work year-round, so what they did is they went and sampled that storm while it was out over the Atlantic, or the Pacific Ocean, rather, Wednesday afternoon, and then by Wednesday night, that data was ingested into the forecast models, and a lot started to change. A lot started to lean more what we were thinking at the beginning of last week. So basically what was happening is some colder air was coming out of Canada, but going down further into the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas. So think about that diving south was taking the strong subtropical jet stream that was heading our way and tilting it northeast. So cold air going down was pushing this jet and making it round up towards the Tennessee Valley. And if anybody has lived here long enough, snow lovers, you want that area of low pressure in that track to go from like southern Alabama through about Warner Robins, Macon, Georgia, through Greenville, Spartanburg.
Right. Not happening this time.
It came right over the top of us.
Right. And it's funny, too, when you look at the state of Tennessee, see West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and then you can see where that line is and where things where it hooked and started coming back up. And then you see East Tennessee, and you're like, well, okay.
Yeah. If that cold air hadn't, a couple of the forecast models broke off just a little bit of that cold air.
Yeah.
So it didn't tilt that southern branch of the jet. If that had happened, then it would have gone in a more favorable track for us to see snow.
Yeah.
But I wasn't confident enough late last weekend, early this week, to be able to say that. But as we got, even before they sampled the data there, I was thinking this is more going to be a wintry mix type situation, That's why I didn't want to give any snow totals. And it looked more like we were going to be seeing a wintry mix.
And here's why. Let's bring this in for a second, because this is a great example
Yeah.
of why we're seeing that mix. And you're talking about, the cold air, the hot, the warmer air, not hot air, but warmer air. And why some parts of our area, I mean, they're talking, they're really going to keep an eye on power outages because of the cold air and the precipitation. And the other is like the mountains, that are going to be sitting there tomorrow and thinking, wait, we're the warm spot.
They're going to be very warm in the mountains tomorrow. So think about it this way. All right, atmosphere is three-dimensional.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
If the atmosphere from the base of the cloud where the snowflake falls and the air is all below freezing, it's going to be snow, like you see on the right-hand side of your screen. But we have we call it a warm nose. It noses its way into the cold air. Warm air rides up over the top of the cold air. So that second section you see where it says sleet, it's a shallow layer up higher. So the snowflake melts. Again, we mentioned this earlier in the week. It's a six-sided crystal. It's a hexagon. So those beautiful snowflakes you see when they're magnified, the edges get melted down.
Okay.
All right. But just barely.
Yeah.
Because the warm air is so shallow. Then it falls back into the cold layer and refreezes.
Yeah.
And becomes a hard, like a BB.
Yeah, and that's like earlier
bounces.
today when you would walk outside. We have an awning outside our employee entrance, and I remember I came down and ran to you and said, "It's sleeting," because they're like, "Ting, ting, ting, ting."
You can hear it.
Right.
And that's sleet. Now what we're seeing is this warm layer is much thicker.
Yeah.
We noticed that by about Wednesday as well.
Okay.
It is several thousand feet deep, this warm layer, from about 8,000 feet in the atmosphere, so above Mount LeConte, all the way down to about 2,000 feet, so just above the plateau. It's above freezing. But cold air is dense. It sinks. We're in a valley. Obviously, we're at about 900 feet in elevation in downtown Knoxville. So the cold air has been stuck here.
Yeah.
That's why this is freezing rain. It falls from the top of, or the base of the cloud. So the second one there from the left, the warm layer is so deep, the snowflake completely melts. And this falls as rain. So everybody's like, oh, it's just rain. What are you talking about? It's just rain. Yes, it is.
But the ground's so cold.
The ground is so cold, it freezes on contact. That's why you get light icing forming in trees. That's why you get it on elevated surfaces, chain link fences.
Well, you walk on our back lot here. Everybody's car is covered in ice.
Absolutely.
Right. But, there's other areas you're going, well, I don't see any. But there's certain aspects of the back, the fences, like you were saying, the cars.
And it's because we're hovering at 30 to 32 degrees.
And that's something else you've been really stressing is that a lot of these areas, especially around Knoxville, we're not well below the freezing level. We are right there along that line, and we're kind of waffling, it seems like.
And that's where pre-treating the roads and a lot of traffic on the roads earlier today kept us from getting in really, really bad shape.
Yeah.
But if you went back and look at our forecast map we had for freezing rain, we didn't have a lot here, especially Knoxville eastward. It was where it was going to be colder. They were in the teens starting out this morning on the plateau and have been in the 20s much of the day, but now they're finally starting to get a little bit warmer across that area.
Yeah, and you kind of take a look at, so this is kind of walking us through, and there, you kind of see that rain and that warmer air is kind of making its way up toward East Tennessee.
Yeah, so that area of low pressure that's down in the Gulf, that's the one that was out in the Pacific Ocean
on
Wednesday.
Right.
That's what's there now. So that red line you see is what we call a warm front. So it's the leading edge of warm air. Down below that warm front, or that red line with the semicircles on it, it's all yellows and oranges and greens. That's heavy rain. You go further north of that, in the colder zone like we're in, that pink is freezing rain, all that purple snow. Still seeing snow from Oklahoma City all the way over through Virginia.
It's huge when you look at it. It's still impacting so much of the southeast and even the lower part of the Midwest.
So imagine if this area of low pressure, instead of making this northeast trajectory, if it had just stayed right along the Gulf Coast, then we would have seen a lot more snow. Let
me ask you this. I got an email after our newscast tonight. A guy named David paid a lot of compliments, but did have a question. So we spent a lot of time talking about the western part of our viewing area, the northern part of our viewing area.
Yeah.
He's in the southern part of our viewing area, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you look at these maps, right? And I can see, obviously the southern part wasn't going to be impacted as much as some of the areas that, to the west, to the north. But then you look over to North Carolina and you're like, parts of North Carolina are going to get hit hard.
Right.
But if you look just south of Knoxville, so again, I guess it kind of goes back to that thumb of how that warm air is coming up. But it isn't interesting when you look at it. It's like, well, everyone around us is getting, but just to the south, and then it just slowly starts to rise. It's interesting to look at. It's something that big, and there were still certain areas that really didn't see a whole lot.
It's hard to get snow in East Tennessee.
It really is.
That's why we don't have it all the time. It's our terrain. They probably have better chances of seeing snow on a given winter in Middle Tennessee and West Tennessee because it's flatter.
Right.
You don't deal with all these terrain issues.
And that's why we see a lot of that in Memphis.
Yeah,
you get out to the west side, and in Nashville as well. Yeah, they do definitely feel it. We always talk about it's got to come right up I-75. I mean, it's like driving from Chattanooga to here. If it doesn't do that, then you never know. You know.
Here's what's interesting about the system, how dynamic it is. So again, where that area of low pressure, it's bringing a lot of warm, moist air off the Gulf.
Yeah.
As we go through the day tomorrow, that zone that's down there, across there's a risk of severe storms. So from Mobile all the way over to Tallahassee, Valdosta, Georgia, there's a chance of severe storms there tomorrow while we're seeing snow on the north side of this.
Yeah, it just shows you the impacts of this storm in all different forms.
Yeah.
Are you still expecting the same amount? You're talking this is a lot of moisture, and it's a lot for this time of year, and especially in one storm. Are you still looking at the same amount as far as rainfall for our areas?
Yeah, we'll get to that
still,
in a minute.
Still packing a pretty good punch there?
Yeah, let's show you this view. It's out of Cumberland County in Crossville. We've been watching this through the day. A couple things I want to point out. See where the American flag is in the middle. Look at that tree behind there. See how it's glistening?
Yeah, I got the ice.
That's covered in ice.
Yeah.
And you see the slush on the sidewalks. You see the truck moving along pretty good. They pre-treated it. The main thing that we've seen basically since before sunset, their temperatures have been climbing. In Crossville already, which is good.
Right, yeah.
They're not above freezing yet, but they're getting there.
That's okay. Yeah.
And again, as I said, we're still hovering 31, 32.
Yeah. And I also noticed, and I know you've switched shot here, but there's no wind. Those flags weren't moving.
Yeah, see if I can go back real quick. Yeah, you're right. And that's probably why I don't think we'll see widespread power outages because the wind is down. And by the time the wind picks up tomorrow, it's going to be warmer across the area. We're going to see rainfall. We're going to see warmer temperatures. We're going to start to see some melting across the area. So this is downtown Knoxville from our Embassy Suites hotel camera. That windy road right there, that's the Western Avenue Bridge that crosses I-40 there in the distance. In the bottom left, you can't see it, but that's the L&N STEM Academy, if you're familiar with that.
And there's the overpass just up to the right. Got a couple cars.
Going slow.
Going slow, which is good. Yep. But right there crossing I-40.
Yep.
All right, so Gatlinburg, we were talking about the mountains, and especially tomorrow, they're going to be they're going to be the warm spot. That's where everybody wants to go because everybody's going to be cold still.
That's why we had the least impacts. I think we had trace to none over towards the elevations like near Gatlinburg, even down through Maryville, because we just thought they were going to be too warm. So even though they're 32 now, they won't be for long. Look how Crossville's up to 32.
Right.
But notice Jamestown, the top left.
Yeah, 23. Not at 27. Yeah. And they're not really going to change a whole lot, are they?
Not until daybreak.
Okay.
But areas like Athens, Tellico Plains, so McMinn, Monroe County, you're going to see your temperatures climb probably shortly after midnight. Here in Knoxville, I expect us to continue to climb. I think I had our time frame at about 3 a.m. I think once we're past there, we're done with freezing rain. Temperatures continue to climb through the mid-30s, and then we're going to see steadier, heavier rain as we go through the day tomorrow. And notice our high temperatures, we're going to climb into the mid-40s here tomorrow. So there won't be any icing issues, but just watch for ponding because of what we've had and the heavier rainfall that's to come.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned the 3 a.m., but I know on air you were saying, 3 a.m., but let's play it safe here. Let's just wait for sunrise, right? If you need to head out tomorrow.
And then I'd say just about everybody by about 10 a.m. should be fine.
Okay.
So that's why we have still some travel issues tonight, especially north and west of Knoxville. Sunday, I think everybody's going to see rapid improvement. It's going to take longer across the plateau into Kentucky where we've had more of the freezing rain and sleet and snow, but even they're going to improve. But here's the problem. We're going to get a lot of rain tomorrow. Temperature's going to warm up. We're going to have some melting, and then it gets very cold tomorrow night. Again.
So what's the separation there from the time this stuff moves out? And I know you've been talking about, when the sun goes down, we're going to start seeing those. But when we hit that mark of that freezing mark where we have to be, do we get a little bit of time there, maybe to get a little help drying out those roadways a tad, or is it going to be
some? Most of this rain moves out, I'd say, before 6 p.m.
Okay.
But sun sets at 6 p.m.
Oh, that's
right?
true. Okay.
So it's not going to take long. I would just say to be cautious, have your activities wrapped up before sunset.
Okay, good to know.
On our
Good to
Sunday.
know.
And notice I expect a light freeze, but
Right.
then some snow on
And some
top
snow
of
on
that.
top of that, yeah.
So here are the ice totals we had, I think, since Thursday. We haven't really changed these. We had limited to 2 warm, and I think we did a pretty good job with that over towards the foothills. So we didn't have much for Gatlinburg, Newport, Greenville. Areas down in Blount County, we had a trace to 1/10 of an inch. I think I saw an update earlier, a couple of hundredths of an inch, very light coating in Eagleton Village area down there. Knoxville, I'd say we've been less than 1/10 of an inch for most areas in downtown. But as we've seen, our cars, our trees do have a light glaze on them.
And it is a light glaze
Yeah.
out there. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully tomorrow when this switches over and we get more rain, it hopefully won't take too long, like you've been mentioning, to
won't.
try to help those conditions and get some of that ice off those vehicles.
But to put this into perspective, people say, well, what do these values mean? I think the easiest way to describe it is to look at this.
Right.
The 1/10 of an inch or less, like we've seen here in Knoxville, it's not going to cause power outages like widespread. I mean, you never know. Even on a normal day, a utility grid could have 1 or 2 power
Absolutely.
outages in some
Yep.
areas, or a block here or there. We're not expecting that. But like we said, some slick bridges, especially the longer stretches, that's going to be the biggest concern, or the less traveled roads. Like there'll be some subdivisions that will have slick spots.
Well, because they're not treated.
Or
you know,
traveled.
Or traveled, right. A lot
Exactly.
of people stayed home, which was good today.
So those 1/4 inch amounts, they start to increase some of the power outages, maybe 1 or 2 more than what would be usual, and the travel conditions, of course, get worse. It's the 1/2 inch totals, like what we were expecting, say, from Cumberland County up into southeast Kentucky. That's where we have our bigger concerns. That's where your cars start to look like that bottom right picture there. So this really didn't change throughout the week either. Areas in the orange to red, that's where we had our medium to higher issues, but over towards the foothills, even Gatlinburg, Newport, Dandridge, not as much.
Right.
Just too warm across the area. And we could see that when that area of low pressure, when we knew it started to come in that direction, it wasn't going to be.
Yeah. And here's those power outages
Mm-hmm.
you were talking about. Again, normally when we have a winter storm, it's a whole lot more than 100
Right.
in Knox County. Again, we don't know, why some of the power is out here. It could be weather related, may not be, but 300 in Roan, 300 in Cumberland, 100 in Bledsoe right now. So, but it's not widespread either. I mean, it's not every county that we're looking at right now.
And it
so.
wouldn't surprise me if some of those in Roan and Cumberland are weather related.
Yeah. On some of those higher elevations, we're going to get a little bit hit a little harder there.
But I'd be surprised if Knox was. Now, Bledsoe does have some higher elevation areas, especially further to the west. But I'd be surprised if these were all due to just that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
All right. So here's where we are. Temperatures, again, most areas below freezing, especially to the north.
Okay.
But watch what happens as we go overnight. And I'm going to stop at first thing tomorrow morning. Notice our temperatures start to climb. Then it's all rain. Look at Gatlinburg.
Yeah. Wow. 49 degrees.
They are going to climb
Even
rapidly.
Newport at 40.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the downslope. And notice how there's not as much rain there,
Right.
less coverage. As the air comes over the mountains out of the southeast in this way, the air sinks on the other side and dries out. And that's what happens. It warms as well.
But I'm just looking at that picture, and again, it goes back to earlier. Look to the north, look to the northwest, but even look on the other side of the mountains.
Yes. Cold air, it's called cold air damming. It gets dammed up or trapped on the other side of the Appalachians.
Okay.
And it goes often down into northeast Georgia.
Wow.
Like all the way up towards like the Lake Lanier area down
Sure.
to Athens, they can see freezing rain. It pools or puddles there. This is almost to that point, but as that low gets closer to us, that erodes even on their side.
And this is also a good reminder if you were maybe putting off some travel, even though maybe tomorrow we're going to catch a little bit of a break because of the rain and our temperatures. When you look, say, well, I got to get to Asheville. Maybe I'm going to put that off. Tri-Cities, going up into Virginia, things like that. Now, granted, it does change during the course of the day, but still.
You're going to have no problem going from the 81-40 split to the border.
Right.
But I still think even notice the little bit of pink there
Yeah,
by
I do.
midday. But look at Gatlinburg.
Yeah, 56 degrees. I mean,
That's not a misprint.
yeah, I know. That's crazy.
Isn't it?
Crazy in a good way, I guess.
Look
but,
at Tellico Plains at 48.
And oh,
then
my goodness, yeah.
Watch as we go into the afternoon here. Watch what happens by evening.
Right.
We're still in the 50s.
Wow.
56 Newport, Gatlinburg, 48 Greenville. But look at Jamestown.
Yeah,
The
30 degrees.
The moisture's gone. The backside of this cold air
Mount
is coming
LeConte is warmer than most
Correct.
of the areas on that map.
in. Mount LeConte's warmer than downtown Knoxville. All right, this is 5 o'clock. Watch what happens by 11. Most of the moisture's gone. temperatures drop quickly.
Yeah.
This is where we do want a little bit of wind to help dry out
Sure.
the roads.
Are we
like
gonna
you
get it?
mentioned. There'll be some.
Okay.
Here's the problem, though.
All right.
We're already below freezing. So any of this standing water that we've seen, again, we're going to talk some 1 to 2 inch rainfall totals tomorrow.
Yeah.
That doesn't go anywhere quickly.
Right.
So temperatures are dropping into the teens and 20s. And guess what happens on the backside as that Arctic air squeezes out the moisture?
Yep.
That's light snow.
Wow.
7 a.m. Monday morning. I know a lot of schools have already closed.
And I was going to say a lot of schools have for Monday, some have even for Tuesday. Go to our website, WAT.com. We continue to update that for you. But yeah, a lot have Monday. I think you're factoring in the chance of some slick roads also, especially going into Tuesday. But 17 and 20 is not warm either by any stretch of the imagination. But for those kids that are going to be out there at the bus stops.
This isn't a big snow.
Right.
But if we
Just
have
not the coat. Right?
Yeah, if we have roads that are freezing, then yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
All right, here are the winds. These
Okay.
are gusts starting tomorrow morning. This is why it warms up so quickly.
34.
Monroe County, Blount County, Sevier County, Greene County, Cott County as well. Watch as we go through the day. Those winds only get stronger.
Okay. Wow.
There
Yeah,
could
they
be,
do.
There could be gusts to near 60 or higher over the higher elevations of the Smokies. Knoxville may stay cooler than portions of Blount County because it takes a little longer for that air to scour out.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
The winds will relax eventually by later in the afternoon.
Okay.
But notice that on the plateau,
Yeah.
this is our opportunity to maybe dry the roads out some.
Yeah, this is where if we're going to get any relief, this is when it's going to happen.
This is
right?
it, right at sundown. It's a race. What
Yeah.
happens first? The colder air comes in with these gusty winds, or we get the roads to dry out. It's going to be close.
You always talk about timing. That's what that's
Yep.
going to come down to. Yeah.
And here's our rainfall estimates. That's some 1 to 2 inch totals. Basically, it's what has fallen so far and what will fall for tomorrow.
Okay.
Notice Gatlinburg to Greenville, much less.
Sure.
That's the sinking air. That's those strong winds coming over the mountains, sinking here on the other side, and it dries it out.
Wow.
So less rainfall.
That is really something when you look at that, though, just the separation. And we're not that far.
Not that far.
Yeah.
It's all due to the mountains and the wind direction. But you talk about those kind of rainfall amounts
Yeah.
and then temperatures like this by Monday morning.
Yeah, it's quite the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And light snow.
Yeah.
A light dusting. And again, we're not talking about much. I think I had like a coating potential. So just say less than an inch.
Okay.
It could be a 1/4 inch. It could be a light dusting. But if it's frozen, it's going to stick pretty easily on the roads.
At this point, though, as we go into Monday, are we done with precipitation for a little bit? Or we still got some more? I know we were talking some bitter cold temperatures, but
Wednesday night,
Yeah.
overnight Wednesday into Thursday,
Okay.
another shot of cold air comes in for the end of the week.
Okay.
There will be a chance of some very light snow there, but it's the northwest flow, which means a little bit better opportunity for Plateau and Smokies with that kind of but not a lot.
Yeah.
This atmosphere is so dry already with that cold air coming in, it holds less moisture. So it's more of that fluffy kind of blow around kind instead of the heavy wet.
And I know looking at your 7 day a while, as we get toward the weekend, even I've seen some peaks of some sunshine and even look like cold temperatures. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
we'll take a little sunshine.
We'll take what we can get, but these are high temperatures Monday. So we start in the teens,
Okay.
most areas. Some won't get out of the teens across the plateau. These aren't wind chills. These are actual
That's just the temperatures. That's what'll. That's it. Okay.
So notice the top right-hand corner. Our average high is 48.
yeah.
We're only talking 26. And wind chill make it feel probably more like low 20s much of the day.
Okay.
This is
Oh,
the
man.
coldest.
Yeah.
This is why you mentioned some schools may already be calling.
Yeah, and we've seen that for Tuesday because now you've known me a long time, Ken. I always try to find the positive. The record is 2, and I know at one point where we're talking maybe 3. At least we're
Yeah.
up to 5, so we're
getting
moving in the moving in the right direction, getting away
Single
from that
digits,
2.
though.
Exactly. Yeah, but that is just so cold.
And those aren't wind chills. That's actual temperature.
So, what kind of are we talking? Is it we're gonna have a windy day? We're talking
In the
significant
morning
wind chill?
across the plateau, there could be some gusty winds, so the wind chill values will be below 0. But
Okay.
I do want to stress this. A wind chill is just an apparent temperature.
Right.
What it feels like to any exposed skin. So your face, if it's not covered, your hands, it has no bearing
Yeah.
on freezing water, freezing pipes. This will.
Right.
But say it was 35 degrees
Yeah.
and we had a wind chill of 20.
Yeah, that's
It's
just
not
what it
going
feels
to,
like.
It's not going
Yeah.
to freeze over roads with
Right.
that. So this just means if you have to be out, make sure you're bundled up.
But like you just mentioned a moment ago, this is when we talk about taking the precautions for your house, even if your car, if it sits outside.
Yeah. Check the battery.
Check the battery. You don't want everything to freeze up on you. This is the time when that will happen, if it will.
Right. We're talking if temperatures are near or even below 20 degrees like we're going to be on Tuesday morning, these are kind of the precautions you need to take. Make sure you're opening those cabinets, especially if they face an outside wall. You want air to be able to circulate through there. At minimum, try to keep your house at 55 degrees. I mean, that's pretty chilly.
That is chilly.
But if you can keep it there or higher, that helps reduce the opportunity. Another thing you want to think about as well, outside faucets, inside ones, make sure you're dripping them as well.
Right. Maybe open up those cabinets depending on where it's located, but also those outside faucets, like you mentioned, those spigots outside. Make sure they're covered.
Yeah,
you know.
That's the next one here. Make sure the outside. But we were saying earlier, I think a slightly higher water bill by letting your water run at a small stream compared to having a plumber come in and tear out walls or concrete and repair.
It can get expensive.
It can be very expensive.
Yeah, and many times, even if they have to dig up your yard and say the pipe busted in the middle of your yard, you're still going to pay for that.
Right.
So, yeah.
So there's your little outside, their boots, their little bonnets that cover outside there. You can get them at any home improvement store.
Don't cost
online.
that much.
They're not that much. So again,
there's our checklist.
the biggest thing is, remember as warm as it was a couple of weeks ago, some people might have been out washing cars or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Make sure that the hose is disconnected from that spigot.
Good point. You may still be sitting out there. You forgot about it.
And there's water that is still in that hose. When water freezes, obviously it expands and it can go back into that spigot and into the pipe and then make that burst.
Okay.
So a couple of little pro tips there for you. All right, by Tuesday afternoon, remember we start out in the single digits?
Yeah.
We're going to get above freezing.
Yeah, we'll take it, especially starting off at 5. We'll take the 30-degree
Barely.
change.
But we have wind chill values. We're probably in the upper 20s.
Okay.
So I mentioned as we go into Wednesday morning, I think another cool start, probably teens for most areas.
Okay.
Better than single digits.
I say we're getting better.
But it's still cold.
Okay.
Wednesday afternoon, temperatures probably low to mid 30s, maybe even close to 40 farther south. But this is ahead of that little clipper that will come
You were
through
talking
and
about,
bring
yeah.
some light snow Wednesday night.
Okay.
Again, they usually don't bring a lot, but there's the colder temperatures by Thursday.
Jamestown, Oneida, Barberville.
We're right back to some single digits.
Yeah,
So it'll be a cold start for Thursday as well. By the afternoon Thursday, it'll warm up a little bit. Here's your department.
Yeah, here's my department. Yeah, this is the thing. You know, this is what we're known for, especially when we come out of storms like this.
And after the heavy rain we're about to
Yeah,
get,
and then it freezes.
that water goes down into there. And we're talking some 1 to 2 inch. So any little porous cracks or small
Yeah, we're talking potholes here. If you haven't figured this out, yeah.
or small potholes that we have, then we're going down to single digits by Tuesday morning. What's going to happen is the water that's trapped subsurface here will freeze, right? What happens? It expands.
Right.
It causes that concrete to go up.
Yep.
Then eventually it's going to melt.
And you have a huge hole sitting there.
That's exactly right. And then what happens when the car runs over it? You got to check your fillings and make sure that they haven't come out because boom, there
We
it
have
goes.
all hit those. That is for sure. But yeah, this is that time of year when you need to be prepared for that. Just another reason too, when you're driving, especially if you're driving on the interstate at a pretty good clip, keep some distance between you and the vehicle in front. The other one may miss the hole, but you want to make sure you still see it.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise if you're following too close, they could miss it, but you might smack right into it. One of your tires get caught in there. And many times we'll see them just lined up along the side of the interstate. Several people hit the same pothole. So just, you got to be careful out there.
Or the rims or worse
Oh,
damage.
I've
than
had that too, where you've dented a rim. Yep.
Not good. All right, here's where we're going to after this. Let's take a look. I got to remember what was in my show. What's the forecast for tonight? So again, temperatures will be climbing.
Okay.
Freezing rain becomes all rain, especially by daybreak for tomorrow.
Okay.
And then things rapidly improve tomorrow. We're going to climb in the mid 40s here. 50s.
Yeah, I know.
Over towards Gatlinburg, Greene County, Cott County.
But we're still talking a lot of rain
lot of
for a
rain.
good chunk of us, so you still got to be careful out there.
1 to 2 inch
Yeah, it's
totals,
quite a
and
bit.
that's a lot of rainfall. 7-day forecast for you. What we're going to be seeing basically is cold temperatures, especially in the morning. So we're going to be aware tomorrow morning for our Plateau and Kentucky counties, just because of the
Give you a
still
better view of that. There you go.
still leftover ice that has accrued there, and before they really start to warm up. Then we're staying aware Monday morning because, again, whatever rain falls tomorrow, we're going to see a chance of freezing as we're dropping in the teens, a little bit of light snow on top of that,
Okay.
and then just plain cold by Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
We're close to record levels.
Yeah, I was going to say we're still well below our average high of 48 lows of 30. So we still got some work to do. But like I said earlier, I like the fact that we're going to get some peaks of sun as we get later in the week. It looks like at least
Next week
it'll make you feel good. Oh.
70s will make me feel better.
Well, yeah, that would make me feel better. 50. By the way, in case you're wondering, 54 days to spring.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Still got
That's a
some
long
time to go. I know anything could happen, but in the next 54 days. Hey, Ken, appreciate it as always, my friend. Great job, you and everybody with the Storm team. We appreciate everything you guys do.
But again, it'll get a lot better travel condition wise, really after about sunrise tomorrow, and especially mid-morning on. You'll be okay. Just watch for the heavy rain, the ponding on the roads, hydroplaning.
Yeah. So if you have to get out, run those errands during the daytime tomorrow, you'll be fine.
Do it before sunset.
I was saying, make sure you're back home before it gets dark. All right. Hey, we'll be back coming up. Obviously tonight we got NBA.
Yeah.
After the game tonight, we'll be back. We'll have another update for you. Get you updated on everything that's going on the roadways. We'll take a look at the weather and get you ready for your Sunday.
Yep.
Ken, thanks, buddy.
See ya.
All right.